Were dinosaurs offspring of Nephilim? Is that why they didn't survive the flood?
Seraphim angels are the most common watcher angel, and these are serpent-faced, six-winged dragon. They are the ones who were doing most of the violations against creation to create giants and other creations. So they would have created beings that would have raised up their image. So now you have reptilians, and you have a reptilian-faced fallen angel.
Got it.
And it starts to make some sense. And dinosaurs, before they were called dinosaurs, were called dragons.
What if everything you were taught about dinosaurs was a lie? Science calls them prehistoric creatures, extinct, gone, a mystery buried in fossils and rock. But what if the real answer was hidden not in a laboratory, but in ancient scripture? What if dinosaurs weren't just animals? What if they were engineered? What if fallen angels, beings with the power to manipulate DNA itself, created them deliberately to corrupt God's creation? The connection between dinosaurs and the Nephilim is hiding in plain sight, in ancient texts, in mythology, in the Bible itself. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So what exactly does Gary Wayne claim? Is any of this actually supported by Scripture? And is there real evidence, or is this just another conspiracy theory? Before we dive into all of this together, if you find this kind of content interesting, make sure you subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more where this came from. Let's get into it.
They are the ones who were doing most of the violations against creation to create giants and other creations. So they would have created beings that would have raised up their image.
The word dinosaur didn't exist until 1842. That's when British scientist Richard Owen coined the term from the Greek words meaning terrible lizard. But before 1842, every culture on Earth had a different name for them, and that name was dragon. Think about that for a second. The Chinese, the Aztecs, the Babylonians, the Egyptians, the Norse, the Peruvians, the Sumerians, completely separate civilizations. No contact with each other, and every single one of them described the same creature. Stanford scholar Adrienne Mayer spent years researching this. Her conclusion? Ancient peoples weren't just making things up. They were describing what they found and possibly what they saw. A dinosaur skull called Dracorex hogwartsia was discovered in 2006. Scientists noted its striking resemblance to the dragons of ancient China and medieval Europe. They named it Dragon King for a reason. Now here's where it gets strange. In ancient Mesopotamia, one of the earliest civilizations on Earth, great kings were compared to the Yumgul, a gigantic serpentine monster. In Egypt, the uraeus, a winged fiery serpent, a symbol of divine authority, of royalty, of godlike power. In India, the Nagas, serpentine creator gods. In the Bible, the Leviathan, a sea dragon, and in ancient Norse mythology, Jormungandr, a world-encircling serpent. But Gary Wayne takes this further than any mainstream scholar dares to go. Because in Hebrew, the word seraphim, the highest order of angels, literally means burning ones, and that same Hebrew root word? It's also used throughout the Old Testament for serpents, fiery, flying serpents. Isaiah 6 describes them 6 wings, surrounding the throne of God. Biblical scholars note they may have had a dragon-like appearance. And in the non-canonical book of Enoch, the seraphim are called in the ancient Ethiopian language as serpents and dragons. So you have the highest angelic beings in Scripture, described as fiery winged serpents. And you have ancient civilizations across the entire world, describing massive winged serpentine creatures. And Gary Wayne asks the question nobody else is asking. What if these aren't 2 separate stories? What if they're the same story? What if the dragons weren't mythology?
And how you get there is Deuteronomy 2. Deuteronomy 2 has a whole list of giants after the flood, like the Horim, like the Emim, like the Zamzuzim, like the Avim, like the Kashalhim. These are giants, but that's not the Hebrew word for Nephilim. It's Rapha and Raphaim. And Raphaim are a tribe of giants as it's described as well.
The Nephilim were on the earth in those days when the sons of God went to the daughters of humans and had children by them. So who exactly were they? The word Nephilim in Hebrew literally means the fallen ones, but also tyrants, bullies, beings of terrifying power. The Greek translators rendered it as gigantes, giants. The Book of Enoch, one of the oldest Jewish texts ever written, quoted directly in the New Testament, describes them as towering hybrids, the result of fallen angels mixing with human women, so massive, so destructive that when natural resources ran out, they started eating people.
They had the ability to do that DNA manipulation. So, and when they tended to create things, we have the giants, so you could create giant beings as well. We also have the elementals that they would have created as well, which have a variety of beings. There's 4 different groups of elementals.
And Jude 1:26 doesn't leave much room for debate. Angels who did not keep their proper domain, who went after strange flesh, thrown into eternal chains as punishment. Strange flesh, that's not metaphor. That's of all over again. Now the pre-flood Nephilim and the post-flood giants weren't the same. After the flood, a new wave of fallen angels came back and did it all over again, creating a new race, the Seraphim, and Deuteronomy 2 quietly lists them. The Horim, the Emim, the Zamzumim, the Anakim, hidden in plain sight. So the real question isn't whether giants existed. The question is if fallen angels could create giant humans. What else were they capable of creating?
We also get through Numbers 13:33 that there's a veracity to the Nephilim before the flood because they're being used and embellished to the giants to scare the Israelites even more from the actual giants. So what we get from that is the Nephilim were more powerful and likely larger. So now we roll through to Goliath, who's the son of a giant. Just as there's 4 other giants from the same father. That's the Hebrew word Rapha.
If you're finding this as mind-blowing as we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more coming.